Just 5 days before Money in the Bank, WWE rolled into the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma for Raw on Netflix, headlined by the final two qualifying matches for the premium live event's namesake matches. Who were the final two superstars to cash their tickets to Saturday's event? And what else went down as the flagship brand wrapped up its final build for Money in the Bank? Find out now with this recap of last night's Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamy.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined tonight by the phenom, Michael Bullock. Unfortunately, good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening. He's a little under the weather tonight, so we're hopeful of having him back with us Thursday night for a special crossover edition of TXN Sports World and Talking Wrestling TXN. I will have more on that in just a little bit. But, Monday Night Raw last night from the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll get into Raw, get into NXT, and we're going to start it off with Monday Night Raw. And we started it off with an in-ring segment, CM Punk. CM Punk hit the ring to kick off the show and wasted little time discussing his plans for Money in the Bank, including winning last night's qualifier, claiming the briefcase, and then challenging Jey Uso or John Cena. Sami Zayn interrupted and warned Punk not to worry about Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman. He needs to focus on winning Money in the Bank because a victory for the Visionary will be devastating for Raw. The segment ended with Zayn planting the seeds for an eventual showdown between them as champion and challenger, drawing a favorable reaction from the fans in Tulsa. This was a solid promo segment to start the show and potentially hinted at what will happen later in the night, with Rollins and company almost certainly making their presence felt in Punk's match. Whether it affects the outcome remains to be seen. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm not going to, do my traditional analysis after segment analysis or anything like that, because we want to keep the show moving in a fairly quick motion here tonight. So with that being said, like I said, solid promo segment to start, and that's all I can really, say on that. It potentially hinted at what will happen later in the night with Rollins and his group almost certainly making their presence felt, and we'll go from there. So solid segment to start the show. So phenom Michael Bullock, come on in. Your thoughts on the opening segment with CM Punk and Sami Zayn setting the table for the main event of the night?
Yeah, like you said, they were setting the table for tonight's last night's main event. I mean, Sami Zayn was, like you said, basically telling CM Punk, hey, you need to be in that Money in the Bank ladder match so you could prevent your rival from winning that Money in the Bank, because if he wins it, I mean, his vision could come true, and you need to make sure that it doesn't happen, but also making clear that should he become champion one, that Sami Zayn's going to be ready to challenge whoever's the champ. So yeah, Sami Zayn trying to get Punk to focus on getting into the Money in the Bank ladder match. So would it happen? You'll have to wait and find out. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to our first matchup of the evening.
Very highly anticipated first match of the evening, which was the final Money in the Bank qualifying match on the women's side. And it featured Ivy Nile versus Liv Morgan versus the newest member of the Monday Night Raw roster, the Dark Angel, La Primera, Stephanie Vacour, and the winner of the match in 10 minutes and 15 seconds and taking the final spot in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. No big surprise here. It is indeed the Dark Angel, La Primera, Stephanie Vacour, winning it in 10:15. So the final, we have our field. It'll be Stephanie Vacour versus Naomi versus Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss and versus Rhea Ripley. Whoa. All right. Michael Bullock, there's nothing left for me to say here. 10 minutes, 15 seconds, the time of the fall. No big surprise with the outcome, with Stephanie Vacour winning. and you heard the names, you heard the field. I told you this last night during our Raw chat, and I'm going to say it again here. I believe this is the most loaded and stacked field for any women's Money in the Bank ladder match in history. And because of this, I got a feeling this could potentially be the greatest women's Money in the Bank ladder match of all time.
Oh yeah, when you talk about that the field that you just mentioned, yeah, this has got the potential to be the greatest women's Money in the Bank ladder match ever. So I'll give this about 3.25 for this. I mean, there was no way that they were gonna have Stephanie Vacour lose on her first night on Monday Night Raw. It would have made absolutely zero. It would have made absolutely 0 sense to do that. But they made the right call here, and yeah, now like you said, she joins that stacked field, and I'll tell you what. I mean, I think it's anybody's for the taking in this women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So nothing left to say. 3.25. It's yours, Florio.
3.25 is indeed the correct rating. Action-packed three-way bout saw Ivy Niles show out, initiating several three-woman spots, and Liv Morgan prove resourceful and resilient. It was Vacour, though, who outlasted her opponents. The finish produced the right winner, but also took Liv Morgan out of the equation and ensured the tag team champion did not eat a loss in consecutive weeks. By way of her win, Vacour almost immediately becomes a favorite to win Saturday night's match. But one has to wonder if the creative team is willing to put her over someone like a Rhea Ripley or a Naomi in what amounts to only her second match as an official member of the main roster. So there's nothing more to say on that. So 3.25 stars. We'll have plenty more to say about this, I believe, on Thursday or Friday nights. So I think it's Thursday nights. So with all that being said, let's move on to our next match. Which was and then there was a lot of backstage stuff, and then we had the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, squaring off against Finn Balor and JD McDonough win the match in 11 minutes and 10 seconds as we recruit Roxanne Perez as the newest member of the Judgment Day to serve a hand to Liv Morgan and or Raquel Rodriguez, but this time she actually helped the men win this match. So yeah, this is about 3 to 3.25 stars. The battle for contention in the tag team division wrote its latest chapter last night when the War Raiders battled Finn Balor and JD McDonough. The early involvement of World Tag Team Champions The New Day at ringside with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee led to their ejection on commentary, that is, and led to their ejection and ensured the match would be fought fairly, or would it? This was about further strengthening Roxanne Perez's connection with the Judgment Day amid resistance from Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez more than anything. Sure, it highlighted the tag team division, but not in any measurable way. So, one noticeable spot, one noticeable observation, and that is, and I do have to address this. Check JD McDonough's midsection because he was hurt the last time, and Ivar is probably worse than the table. Kofi Kingston said on commentary. You noticed JD McDonough took another nasty spill near the announce table. And we all remember what happened the last time he took a spill like that. He ended up getting banged up very badly. He had to miss time, but thankfully he's okay. And, he's got to be careful with those spots, man. So another 3 to 3.25 stars. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Roxanne Perez, the difference maker for Finn Balor and JD McDonough, serving as a distraction and costing the War Raiders the match here. So Finn and JD winning the match in 11-10. So Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, about another 3.25 here. I mean, yeah, Roxanne Perez getting involved in on the men's side and trying to prove herself to the Judgment Day that she can be a big time help, not just to the men, but also to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Well, let's just say, I mean, I mean, there is no love with Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. I mean, we did see it later on backstage, so yeah, there's still some tension going on in the Judgment Day, despite this win here. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on.
We will indeed move on. And all right, this was something that I know Bullock's ready to address here. Another verbal exchange between the women's intercontinental champion Lyra Valkyria and her opponent at Money in the Bank, that being Becky Lynch. And been there, saw this. Lyra Valkyria called out Becky Lynch for an in-ring promo that ended in a pull-apart brawl again. So Michael Bullock, I mean, I got to be honest. Nothing new was said, and there was no real substance to the segment other than reminding the fans that there is a Women's Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank, where if Lyra wins, Becky can no longer challenge for the title. But if Becky wins the title, then Lyra's got to raise her hand in victory.
Yeah, but I mean, Lyra continues to really impress me on the mic, and I mean, she basically, I mean, it's almost like Becky, I mean, ignited something that I'm going to say right now that maybe she should have left alone, because we're seeing a different side of Lyra, one that's, and you saw, I mean, when Becky did that promo earlier from backstage or wherever she was doing it, it was a video package. You saw the look on Lyra's face when she was making her way to the ring. She had that look like, oh, so you wanted to do it backstage when I wasn't around. So she said, you know what? You get your ass out here, and I want to say it to your face. And boy, howdy, she did, and it led to another pull apart brawl. So yeah, yeah, Becky, like I said, she lit something in Lyra that she may have wanted to leave alone. So again, I don't know what to make of it, but I'm going to continue to say this, and I'm going to go on the record saying this, Florio.
Yeah,
I think Lyra retains, and you're forgetting the one thing,
Bayley,
because at some point Bayley's going to come out and get her payback on Becky Lynch for taking her out of WrestleMania. So it's not a matter of if it's going to happen; it's only a matter of when. And I think it's going to happen at Money in the Bank, and it sets up for a renewal of a rivalry that we saw in early 2023. And who knows? Maybe it could happen. Maybe at SummerSlam. Who knows? But
Evolution.
or Evolution. That's right. We forgot about that. It could happen at one of those two. So we'll see. So it's yours, Florio.
Like I said, nothing new was said, and there was no real substance to the segment other than reminding the fans that there is a Women's Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank. As this segment was a replica of others over the last few weeks, it was probably unnecessary. At least the match should be a good one if their show-stealing duel from Backlash is any indication. And that's all there is to say on that. And Valkyria, like Bullock said, Valkyria has found her confidence on the mic, and that is going to do wonders for her star moving forward, win or lose, at Money in the Bank. So that's all there is to say there. So we move on to another one of the big main events of the night. Not the main event by any means, but We had the World Heavyweight Champion main event Jey Uso and Sami Zayn squaring off against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman in their corner in a huge tag team match. And unfortunately, Jey and Sami win the match via disqualification in an even 9 minutes, all because of Seth freaking Rollins with a curb stomp on Jey Uso, leading to the disqualification. Yeah. 2.5, teetering on 3. This was fine, but much like the night's other tag team offering, there wasn't much advancement here. It was a tag team bout interrupted by a heel who was then fended off by a babyface. It has been a pattern of sorts since WrestleMania, but at least this presented the potential cliffhanger of Rollins setting up interference in Punk's main event. And Bullock, during our Raw chat, you heard what he said. We heard him say, "We know where he is going to be later tonight. We've got him right where we want him. Trust me." Rollins was overheard telling Breaker, suggesting that they will make their presence felt later. So, this is about a 2.5 to 3 star effort. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, 9-minute match with a disqualification finish. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn defeating Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Seth freaking Rollins interference. We get a DQ, even 9 minutes.
2.5 stars for me. I mean, the match was fine. I mean, it definitely could have been better, but obviously Seth freaking Rollins making his presence known and basically he did mention about CM Punk later on, so we'll definitely address that. So we'll see about it. So 2.5 for me. So let's move on.
Yeah, most assuredly, we will address that for sure. All right. Next up, we had Kairi Sane one-on-one with Raquel Rodriguez. Kairi Sane wins the match in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. And, well, Michael Bullock scored another one for Kairi Sane. But the thing was, it wasn't because of Roxanne Perez getting involved. You know, Liv Morgan stuck her nose in the business, but women's world champion Io Sky showed up, even the odds for Kairi, and it was enough. And Kairi Sane gets another big win. It was Liv last week, Raquel this week. Kairi's on a roll since coming back.
Yeah, Kairi's definitely been on a roll since coming back, and I mean to beat both of the women's tag team champions, that is that's a major statement there. I'll give this about maybe 2.25 here for the effort, but yeah, I mean, Io Sky definitely made sure that that Liv Morgan had no say, and that she evened the odds for her partner in crime. So yeah, so 2.25. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. 1 week after scoring what can best be described as an upset over Liv Morgan, Kairi Sane battled Raquel Rodriguez in one-on-one action. A perfectly acceptable David versus Goliath match saw Kairi Sane repeatedly counter Rodriguez's power advantage, leading to Morgan's interference late in the bout. That brought out Women's World Champion Io Sky, who fended off Liv Morgan, allowing Kairi Sane to earn another quality victory, this time with her insane elbow. And with that, it looks like a women's tag team title match could be on the horizon, championship committee moment, also known as, with the remnants of Damage Control poised to challenge Morgan and Rodriguez for the gold, maybe as soon as Saturday night. You never know. And the fans bought into Kairi late in the match, proof that she was able to win them over despite a bumpy start full of "We want truth" chants. You know what that's about. So 2.5 stars for this. By default, the worst fight of the night, even though it wasn't remotely bad or anything. It was just, the other matches were just that much better. So we don't really have anything. Oh, of course we know what's going on next week. The big main event next Monday night in Phoenix. The rematch from WrestleMania. Jey Uso Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. They had a nice little exchange in Jay's locker room, or in the locker room, rather, and that's all there is to say there. Main event of the evening, the final Money in the Bank qualifying match for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. El Grande Americano versus the phenomenal AJ Styles versus CM Punk. And the winner of the match in 11 minutes and 50 seconds and earning, well, not really earning, but securing the final spot in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, El Grande Americano. I told you, Bullock, I told you this last night. I told you he was going to win this match. And I'm not at all surprised he did. And why was it? Because it was Big Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker attacking CM Punk. And El Grande Americano had that loaded mask again. He had the loaded mask, and El Grande Americano is going forward. He wins the match in 11:50, and he has now qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match. An action-packed match that was every bit as good as one would expect from a TV main event featuring the talent involved. Its finish muddied when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed interfered and cost Punk a pinfall on Americano. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn made the save. El Grande Americano getting a big push is somewhat surprising, but he adds a bit of mystery to the lineup of the men's match, which could see any one of the 6 finalists leave with the briefcase. The finish intensifies the issues with CM Punk and Seth Rollins and company, while the attack on Jey Uso added more injury to a guy with a loaded dance card over the next week. And yesterday was AJ Styles' 48th birthday, and he headlined Raw on his 48th birthday. So happy birthday, AJ Styles. Happy birthday, Phenomenal One. We're throwing it up Fortune 4 style for you tonight. The initial pop for Americano was scarily loud, and before the match, CM Punk and AJ Styles had the referee check El Grande Americano for metal plates, ensuring he would not cheat to win. And, yep, to no avail. So, I want to give it 3.5, but the finish rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, 3.25. But by default, this was the fight of the night, even though it was not a complete blowaway or anything. It's just that by the name value and everything that went down during this match. So it's really 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the finish. So we have our 6 on the men's side. LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande Americano. Bullock, El Grande Americano defeating AJ Styles and CM Punk 11 minutes and 50 seconds, 11:50. And I told you this was going to happen last night, didn't I?
You did, and like you said, Florio, I mean, they're really pushing El Grande Americano, which is a little puzzling to me, because even though we all know who's underneath that mask.
Chad Gable. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he said it loud and clear. Even though he probably, if he were on here, it'd be like, I don't know what you two so-called wrestling experts know about. He said, you don't even know who's underneath that mask. Yeah, we do. We're no freaking dummies, Florio. We're no freaking Johnny come latelys like you think we are. But yeah, but the big story, of course, this new faction of Seth Rollins. I mean, of course, getting over on not just CM Punk but also Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. So they once again stand tall to end the show. So yeah, it's 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the ending. And as far as my overall thoughts on this edition of Raw, 7 out of 10 for me. I mean, there wasn't anything remotely bad about it, but there definitely some things I thought that definitely could have been better to build for the Money in the Bank premium live event this Saturday. So nothing more to say. It's yours for you.
7.5 for me. The go home edition of Raw saw some repetitive segments that felt too much like others we have witnessed on more than one occasion in recent weeks. But it also featured intriguing storyline developments within the Judgment Day, the arrival of Stephanie Vacour, and ended with El Grande Americano scoring his biggest win yet. Monday Night Raw is not really firing on all cylinders, and fans are clearly upset about the decision not to renew R-Truth's contract with WWE. But this was a fine enough show to solidify the hype for Saturday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So this is definitely a 7 to 7.5 out of 10 for me. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to our other big, the other show that we cover here, and that's NXT. Worlds collide maybe this weekend, but tonight's show did more than just hype that event. And we had the two big matches that were announced ahead of time. Trick Williams versus Mike Santana for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in the main event. Charlie Dempsey versus Miles Bourne in a rounds match. And if Miles Bourne won, he would be free from the No Quarter Catch Crew and be free to pursue his own interests. And we would also get the debut of the female winner, the women's winner of season 1 of WWE LFG, coached by none other than Michael Bullock's all-time hero and favorite wrestler, The Undertaker. His protege, Tyra Mae Steele, had her first official NXT match. And with that, let's take a look at everything else that happened on tonight's edition of NXT. First couple of things are going to be cutouts, if I'm going to be honest with you. Of course, we had the recap video to start it off. We went to the ring for a segment to hype Worlds Collide. Laredo Kid, Javon Evans, and North American champion Ethan Page appeared to promote the championship match, but Rey Fenix was absent due to travel issues. Evolve Sean Legacy showed up because he has the winner of the North American Championship match from Worlds Collide next week. And more Evolve talent showed up and a huge brawl broke out. Segment was short and sweet. It was less than 10 minutes and accomplished everything it needed to without overstaying its welcome. That being said, it was also very paint by numbers. And with that being said, our first match was also a cutout here. We started it off with a 6-man tag team matchup. 3 members of Dark State. We had Cutler James, Dion Lennox, and Osiris Griffin with Saquon Sugars in their corner, squaring off against the new Chase University, Andre Chase, Cale Dixon, and Uriah Connors. Dark State winning the match, 3 minutes and 27 seconds. We're not gonna, waste time on this. Hang on one second here. All right. This was a pretty short and decisive match. Everyone had good energy, but they didn't have enough time to make this more than a glorified squash. So nothing really to get into there. So that was about a 1-star bout. So, all right. We move on now to the rounds match. This was about the... we all remember what the rounds matches are. The Heritage Cup, NXT Heritage Cup. This match, even though this was nowhere near the NXT Heritage Cup, it was under NXT Heritage Cup rules. It's a rounds match. You know how it is. There are 6 3-minute rounds. The first man to win 2 falls wins the match. So it was Charlie Dempsey squaring off against Miles Bourne. The stipulation being, if Miles Bourne wins this match, he is free. He will no longer be a member of the No Quarter Catch Crew, and he will be free to pursue his own interests, which is what he wants to do. He wants to leave the nest, if you will. He wants to be his own man. which of course I can certainly respect because that's exactly how Bullock and I are in our everyday lives. So Miles Bourne won the first round at 2 minutes and 54 seconds. And then 25 seconds into round 3, Charlie Dempsey evened the bout at 1 fall apiece. And then 2 minutes and 46 seconds into the 4th round, Miles Bourne wins the match. It looks like a total time of, all right, let me see if I can get this right here. 5:54. And then it's about 6:19, and then 2:46 after that. So I believe the total time was 9 minutes and 5 seconds. And the winner of the match, Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne is free from the No Quarter Catch crew. He is now free to pursue his own interests. This was a solid match with some great technical wrestling from both guys. Even with the cheap shot, Miles Bourne shook Charlie Dempsey's hand at the end. It'll be interesting to see where everyone goes from here. No Quarter Catch crew is either going to need to recruit a new member or the group might disband. So, Ren Sinclair and Tavion Heights were on opposite sides of the ring instead of being in a neutral corner. Ren Sinclair served as the corner person for Charlie Dempsey. Tavion Heights served as the corner man for Miles Bourne. And that's all there is to say there. So I'm going to give this a solid 3 stars for the effort. Right around that 2.5 to 3 threshold. So about 2.5, 3 stars for the effort on this. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Miles Bourne is a free man. He is no longer a member of the No Quarter Catch crew. He is now free to pursue his own interests. And he does it in a total time of 9 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah, 3 stars for me as well. I mean, basically, like you said, he's now a free man, and he can now pursue whatever he wants when it comes to NXT. So we'll see what they do with him. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So let's move on.
And we will indeed move on. And just bear with me for a moment here. All right. Another cutout here. Tyra May Steele had her first opponent, and her first opponent, Ariana Grace. Tyra May Steele wins it, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. And I'm sure, Michael Bullock, you're probably going to take a liking to Tyra May Steele, considering who coached her on LFG. Wink, wink. So,
oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, she definitely looked very impressive. I mean, this was more of a showcase match for her. So, we all know what she's made of, but this was NXT's first look at her. So she looked real dominant. So we'll see what happens with her.
And I would imagine somewhere in,
the Undertaker's going to be very proud of her.
Of course. I mean, he took her all the way to the women's championship of LFG. And if you didn't get a chance to see her on LFG, oh man, oh my goodness. I could call her the female Kurt Angle because she is an Olympic gold medalist after all. And Ariana Grace looked like she was going to dominate the newcomer after unleashing a flurry of offense in the first couple minutes, but this was the debut of an Olympic gold medalist. So she was just working up to her comeback. And she scored a very quick win with 1 throw, followed by a textbook German suplex. While the match itself wasn't much of anything, Steele showed a lot of intensity and character in a very short amount of time. If she continues to bring that kind of enthusiasm, she will do well. And that's really all there is to say on that. With all due respect, this was a dud. This was the worst fight of the night, but I got mad respect for Tyra May Steele, and especially The Undertaker. And The Undertaker, man, I'll tell you, he coached her up real good. So hats off, dead man, no doubt. All right. Now, this show may not have been as newsworthy as last week's amazing show was last week, but this show here, we had our newsworthy moment of the night. New NXT Women's Champion Jacy Jayne came out with Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix to celebrate her title win. But we ended up getting what was the ultimate revolving door segment if I ever saw one. Let's try to keep track here of who showed up. Lainey Reed from Evolve was the first to interrupt to say she wanted a title shot. And then listen to this lineup of people who came out, of women who came out. Lola Vice, Jordan Grace, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Lash Legend, and Thea Hale showed up to stake their claim. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, what's so newsworthy about that? Here comes the newsworthy. After a brawl broke out with all the women, the lights went out, and when they came back on, who was in the crow's nest?
She's here.
WWE's newest signing, the Glamour, former AEW Women's World Champion, the Glamour, Mariah May, was in the crow's nest with a microphone. She simply said we can call her the next NXT Women's Champion. You damn right we're going to call her the next champ. Mariah May has been rumored to be heading to WWE for quite some time, but the debut was still surprising to see on a weekly show and not at a bigger event. It was a pretty simple way to bring her into the fold, so hopefully she will get a longer promo next week. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard that Jacy Jayne was going to address the universe, and considering everything, all the rumors that have been going around about Mariah May, the light bulb went off in my head. And I said to myself, she's coming. I know she's going to be there. She's going to be there. I know it. When I saw all those other women around there, I was a little worried for a moment. But then when the lights went out, I'm like, oh, it's got to be Mariah. It's got to be. And then when I saw her, I'm like, I knew it. I knew it.
But did you hear the reaction from Corey Graves?
Okay. Corey Graves. Let's take a quick trip back in time to about 2019 into 2020. We all remember when Corey Graves was literally drooling over Mandy Rose, and who could blame him? I mean, he wasn't the only one, but what did Corey Graves do on this night? Go crazy nuts over a woman, over in a woman outside of his wife, Carmella, of course, and who can blame him? Look at Mariah May. Duh. He's a red-blooded American male, just like we all are, just like me and Bullock are. And you said it, Bullock. Corey Graves' reaction, he freaked out. And I think we can all see why. So, but all kidding aside, business, in the immortal words of JR, prayers up for Jim Ross, of course, with the colon cancer recovery now in motion. This one's for you, big boy. Business has damn sure picked up in the best women's division in all of professional wrestling. The NXT women's division. Michael Bullock, Mr. NXT. Ho, ho, ho. What a coup for your women's division. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just got stronger, and as she said, it just got more glamorous.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, and when we heard the rumors, of course, and it came true that she was off of AEW and on her way to WWE. And then we were like, it's not a matter of if we were going to see her on TV in WWE. It was just a matter of when. Well, she made her appearance tonight, and she said she's going to be the next NXT Women's Champion, and I believe that's going to happen. And I think the earliest possible date could be Evolution or the Great American Bash.
You got it.
Yeah. Hold on to that title as long as you can, JC Jane, because it's going to have a new home. It's going to belong to the glamour Mariah May. Period. End of quotation. End of statement. It's yours, Florio.
What else is there to say? I mean, I agree with everything Bullock just said. We had a brief little chat a little before the show here tonight, and it was and this is what we were talking about during our chat mainly. And yes, I mean Mariah May leaving AEW.
Now, part of me wondered for it. I mean, I was hoping we would hear the Tony Fumble chants.
That's exactly right. Yes.
I was a little surprised with that, but maybe
no.
Once you get a little longer time with the mic, maybe we do hear it. Who knows?
I think we might hear that when Mariah May eventually becomes the NXT Women's Champion. And what Bullock just said, I told him that. I told him, hey, either Great American Bash or the Evolution pay-per-view. The all-women's Evolution pay-per-view. First time in nearly 7 years. The last one, of course, October of 2018. And it's going to take place Sunday night, July 13th. From the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. And we will address that next month when we get to it. That's part of another loaded weekend of professional wrestling. The weekend of July 12th and 13th. NXT Great American Bash, literally going head-to-head with AEW's version of WrestleMania, All In, at 3 o'clock. And then add to that, you're gonna have the next edition of Saturday Night's Main Event in Atlanta. And then you're gonna have Evolution the next night. Oh, Lord, hang on here. That's all I'm going to say on that. So, brace yourselves when we get to that next month. But anyways, but nonetheless, what a moment. What an incredible moment from Mariah May. Indeed. 8-man tag team action. This match made by NXT General Manager Ava. We had Javon Evans, the Laredo Kid, Sean Legacy from Evolve, and Dragon Lee from Raw, squaring off against the North American champion Ethan Page and these three Hammerneggers who call themselves the Vanity Project. They're also from Evolve. Brad Baylor, Jackson Drake, and Ricky Smokes. And it was the babyface team: Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Sean Legacy, and the Laredo Kid. They win the match in 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Michael Bullock, a very good 8-man tag. And of course, this served as a nice little preview of the Fatal 4-Way match at Worlds Collide for the North American Championship when Ethan Page defends against Javon Evans, the Laredo Kid, and Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix was supposed to be there, but he couldn't due to travel issues.
What was the time?
13 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, this was about. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I mean, this was a phenomenal 8-man tag team match. I mean, yeah, it was everything what we expected when you got these 8 in the ring here. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll definitely see what happens, especially when it comes to that. Especially with their involvement in Worlds Collide. So nothing more to say. 3.5 stars. It's yours, Florio.
3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. While this match had too many moving parts for any one person to stand out, it had plenty of fast-paced action and made a few Evolve talents look good in the process. And that's really all there was to say on that. And it was also basically a preview of what to expect in that Fatal 4-Way North American Championship match at Worlds Collide on Saturday afternoons. So, that's 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. I could go as far as to call this the fight of the night if I wanted to. And next week, we have two huge main events for next week. Both are championship matches. Whoever wins the North American Championship at Worlds Collide on Saturday, that man must defend the title next week on NXT against Evolve's Sean Legacy. And if that wasn't big enough, Obafemi is going to defend the NXT Championship against a man who is only going to have his second official match since winning the men's portion of WWE LFG Season 1, Booker T's protege, Jasper Troy. Femi and Troy for the NXT Championship next week. In the immortal words of Booker T, no bread, no water, just meat. That's going to be a man fight. No doubt about it. Speaking of being man fights, that leads us to our main event of the evening for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Trick Williams, in his first title defense since winning the title from Joe Hendry at NXT Battleground 9 nights ago. He defended against a man who I could very easily call nowadays the heart and soul of TNA wrestling, that being Mr. Mike Santana. And I feel for the man because Mike Santana cut a really emotional backstage, and he had a nice emotional backstage promo with Sarah. He was being interviewed backstage by Sarah Schreiber, and I felt that emotion in his voice during that little interview he did with her. I felt it, and you would think after a promo like that, you would think they would strap him. Not tonight. The winner of the match, 12 minutes and 23 seconds, and still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Trick Williams, due to outside interference from TNA Tag Team First Class, AJ Francis and KC Navarro. And they've been having some back and forth on Impact over the last few weeks, and it actually does make sense because that is storyline progression. So, oh man, I feel for Santana, man. I really wanted him to get this, but don't worry, he's gonna get it eventually. I'll explain in a minute. I was gonna give it 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 stars. As expected, this turned into a very physical bout right away. They weren't going for headlocks and hip tosses. They were trying to beat each other up. Mike Santana is a well-regarded veteran, and Trick Williams has been one of the NXT's brighter prospects for quite some time. So they found their groove quickly and worked together to make this feel like it was about more than just the TNA Heavyweight Championship. First Class, KC Navarro and AJ Francis from TNA showed up and interfered by attacking Mike Santana while the referee was distracted. And this allowed Trick Williams to hit the trick knee to get the win and retain the TNA Heavyweight Championship. And you heard it in the crowd. The crowd was definitely behind Santana more than Williams, but it was not as if nobody was cheering for the champion. Santana is a big guy, so seeing Williams outsize him is a reminder of just how big Trick is also. He's almost deceptively large until you see him next to someone else. And Elijah was in the crowd. No big surprise. He was scouting because because it was announced last week on TNA Impact that Elijah will challenge for the TNA Heavyweight Championship this Friday night at the TNA Against All Odds special on the TNA Plus app. And, well, we now know who Elijah will be challenging for the title on Friday night, and it will be Trick Williams as he wins the match in 12:23. A 3.5-star match bumped down to 3.25 because of the interference by First Class, and that's really all there is to say on that. So 3.25 stars down from 3.5. So Michael Bullock, Trick Williams, still the TNA Heavyweight Champion. Mike Santana, don't worry, he's going to get his day. Sunday night, July 20th, TNA Slammiversary at the UBS Arena, Long Island, New York. Mike Santana's from the Bronx. You do the math.
I think that all adds up to. I think he's gonna take that TNA title from Trick Williams that night, because we all already know that Trick Williams is gonna retain the title at that special. So it's 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the interference. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So, and as far as this edition of NXT goes, I can only give this 6 to 6.5 because you had too many cutouts here. I mean, you had some good matches, but yeah, the cutouts really definitely took away from it. So I'm actually just going to give it 6. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm actually going to be a little more generous. I'm going to give it about 6.5 to 7. Tonight's NXT wasn't a memorable episode because of anything that happened in the ring, but it might be remembered down the line for being the night two different stars debuted. Tyra May Steele, an Olympic gold medalist, had her first match in NXT after winning season 1 of WWE LFG. She won her first bout decisively and made a good impression on the WWE universe. However, the big headline coming out of tonight's show was the shocking debut of Mariah May. Speculation about her WWE debut had been running rampant, but there was no indication it would happen this soon. The former AEW Women's Champion was part of one of the longest and best storylines in that company's brief history with Toni Storm, so let's hope WWE books her as the star that she is. As far as the in-ring action goes, Miles Bourne and Charlie Dempsey had the best bell-to-bell performance, but Trick Williams and Mike Santana may have had a more exciting match. It all comes down to your personal preferences. And let's also not forget about that 8-man tag. That 8-man tag was also very good also. So those 3 matches alone, go out of your way to see. Everything else, nothing left to see, unless you're a fan of Tyra May Steele, for those of you who watched LFG religiously like I did. So 6.5 to 7 out of 10 for me. So that will indeed put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you again on Thursday night for a special crossover edition of Talking Wrestling TXN and TXN Sports World. We're going to preview the Worlds Collide and the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And we're also going to preview the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals. So we're going to get into all of that, I believe. I think that's what MF mentioned. So we're going to get into all of that on Thursday. And then Friday, Cerebral Smack Talk. We're going to get into TNA Impact and Friday Night SmackDown. And then Saturday night, we will recap the Worlds Collide and the Money in the Bank. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again with Ridiculously Raw. And we will be on the road to Saudi Arabia and the Night of Champions on the 28th. So that's it. So until Thursday night for that crossover edition of TXN Sports World and Talking Wrestling TXN, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, our Twisted Angel, First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night for that crossover TXN Sports World and Talking Wrestling TXN, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.